Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for another live, a live Twitter space. 43 people are going. We had 30 on Monday. Saturday's always more on Saturday. And we're live in spaces. Join, accept and speak. Oops. Good morning.
Morning, Banana. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just adjusting the volume here. How are you doing?
Good. Another day drinking my coffee, getting started.
Yeah. I think we're going to have more attendance today. I think we had like 35, something like that on Monday, and I see like 40 people scheduled for today.
Nice. How did your PulseChain YouTube go this morning?
It went good. And that was with Stylist. So she came in there and livened things up, and it went well. It's always it's a learning process to learn how to teach PulseChain, and then B, there's so much to cover, and it's complicated, and you got to try to simplify it as much as possible. So it's just going to take practice.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about the bridge being down at all and
No.
give a different suggestion?
No, I didn't. I did hear that the bridge went down yesterday, but I didn't even think about it. Actually, one of my friends reached out to me, and she's like, "Hey, I can't. The bridge is not working. What do I do?" I'm like, "Liberty swap." And after I mentioned Liberty swap about the third time, she tried it, and she's like, "Oh wow, Liberty swap rocks!" Like, yeah, it does. Just made life easier, didn't it?
Yeah, then not having to wait the 30 minutes probably feels pretty good.
Yeah, well, she literally swapped from, let me see if I can get this right. I should go look at her message. But yeah, let me see. Hold on. I can get my eyes on the message. She bought PHEX with Ethereum USDC.
Nice.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I hear that they're making a way that you can bridge back out from PulseChain over to Ethereum too. So that'll be good.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I never realized that a lot of those routes were only one direction. I thought that you could go in and out, but it is, I guess that's the direction we want them to go.
Yes.
Make it easy to go in, and I guess still ways to go out, but not as many options.
Yeah. Well, it's gentlemanly. It's ethical if they can go the other direction also. It's like, hey, this is the thing. If we got the best thing since sliced bread over here, and we do, then people won't leave. There's always that option now, but people just won't exercise it.
Yeah, actually, always really liked on the PulseChain bridge, and it's changed a few times, but I think still, as of right now, it's feeless to come in, but you pay the fee when you leave.
Oh, really?
Which the fee is really minor, right? It's nothing like crazy. It's just, I don't know. I always thought that was a good way to get it set up is, when people come in, let them come in for free. But if they want to leave, like all these things usually on other blockchains cost a fee, where Richard made it free to come in. I don't know. Liberty Swap is doing like gasless fees each direction, which that might be something that needs to happen just for their protocol in general. I know they take a small fee each way, but now that they have the exit, maybe, to help fund their building, because we obviously want them to keep building, I wouldn't mind the fee going out, or even a little bit more of a fee going out. Because from what I saw, their margins are very, very tight, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And you can bridge, you can swap now up to $25,000.
In specific pairs or all pairs?
I'm not sure. It might be all pairs. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's a good chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's still where you can just do as many swaps as you want, right?
As far as I know. Yeah. I did some swapping yesterday. It worked masterfully. It's just so simple. I went from EUSDC to PulseChain.
Nice. Yeah, everyone listening, just be careful. Make sure you're finding the right website. There is definitely a lot of fake Liberty swaps floating around that I've seen draining people. So just make sure you're going to official accounts, official telegrams, and stuff like that to get that exact website. There is alternate ones floating around taking advantage of people.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm trying to think, where should people go to bounce off the official? Where can they find the official site
go
link?
to the PulseChain.com website.
There you go.
And then just use the link off of there. If it was me, like if I was like, hey, I'm going to go to Liberty Swap, I wouldn't be trying to type it in or Google it. I would go to the websites that I know are legit and then go off their links.
Yeah. Yeah, good idea. PulseChain.com.
If you want to do a double check, you could probably just double check that the link on PulseChain.com is the link also on the Liberty Swap Twitter or something like that, just if you wanted to double check that.
Yeah. There you go. PulseChain.com is a very good resource for many things. We were just on there this morning. And yeah, by the way, anybody that's here right now, you guys are diehards. You guys got some tenacity, and gals. You got what it takes to make it. If you're, live in spaces today. So I tip my hat to you. I have a buddy that's dollar cost averaging, and he got himself another bag of PTDC yesterday. And he probably picked up a few squid positions, I imagine. And I heard somebody said on Spaces Monday that, pretty sure it was Monday, he thinks squid positions will be millionaires. So it's possible.
What's the squid position cost right now?
It's 2.9 million PTDC. I'm putting that in a desk screener. $832.
Nice.
Actually. So 1,000, that'd be 1,000x. Okay, so how do we get to 1,000x? PulseChain does 200x, PTDC does a 5x. There's your 1,000x, which makes a squid. $832 today, worth nearly, $1 million. Hello, Ariel. Ariel's on YouTube, and so is Shaka. Hi, Shaka. I'm doing something different on my YouTube. Sometimes you get used to something and then you forget about it. Well, I forgot about my banner that I have that I can have scrolling across the bottom of YouTube. And I'd forgotten about the logo that I can put up there. So I've got the logo, the banner, and then something new with my StreamYard is that I can put the comments on the video. Like they just overlay it right on top of the video. It's a selection that I make so that people on YouTube, because when you watch the video after it has been recorded, you can't see the comments, right?
Yeah.
But now people can watch them after it's been recorded because they're up.
That's awesome.
Right up on the screen. So I'm trying to remember to do that every single time.
So yeah, you know how you were saying that your buddy was just dollar cost averaging into PTDC yesterday?
Yes.
That was kind of what I was thinking of. I kind of brainstormed like, okay, what post should I kind of write today? What's on my mind? What am I looking at? And that was one thing I was kind of thinking about this morning. It's just there has been a pullback on PTDC and ratio against PulseChain, which is opportunity. But even in the last, few weeks, there's also been a decent pullback on PulseChain at this point too, which when you start to compound those things together, what that equals is if you have dry powder, which I know a lot of people don't, but some people still kind of work their jobs and are still willing to DCA invest. Like we are getting to ranges where the discount on PTDC and the discount on UFO for holders still trying to increase their position, or even new holders, right? I was kind of asking myself, in real life, was there anyone I kind of wanted to knock on the door one last time, or, give a quick text or phone call to, that it's in these ranges that, in my opinion, are extremely cheap, especially if you have actual fiat that you can bring in. Ratio swapping, a little bit different, right? We are currently at a very low level, is ratio-wise as well. Pulse to PTDC, I think there's a huge discount there if you have Pulse and you're still looking to be exposed to the PTDC ecosystem. But with PulseChain so low, like for new or people still looking to get their positions, I think the overall USD price of PTDC with PulseChain being so low also is just an extreme discount.
I agree. Just in case bag, which we have been recommending, not financial advice recommending, but we've done the math on PTDC and UFO, and it could go crazy. So we recommend everybody, not financial advice, on PulseChain have a if you've been hesitant, just in case, 1 million PTDC or whatever you can get, and then 5 million UFO. That I'm just throwing that in as what I would do if I didn't have either of these, because you can get 5 times more the supply of UFOs, so it would pretty much be dollar for dollar in a sense. And a just in case bag of PTDC right now is $287, a million tokens. That's 1 million tokens. And if this thing goes to $1, there you go, $287 and $1 million. I mean, there's a lot of ifs in crypto. Then UFO, 5 million UFO is $120. And this is like minimums, guys. I mean, but most people got this kind of change laying around in their couch cushions, Yeah,
you could dig through your garage, put a few things up on OfferUp, and get yourself a just-in-case bag. I think that works very well for people who are already in PulseChain too and know how to get here, or someone you're close to. I was just talking to a buddy yesterday that I used to work at the railroad with when I was a lot younger, and kept in touch through social media and stuff, and just kind of watch each other grow up because we spent so much time with each other younger, working every day, like 60 hours a week. And he posted a chart, and it went up a lot, and I was like, oh, what's that chart? And then I was like, hey, if you're interested, I have a few crypto assets that I've been pretty involved in, and I'd be open to showing you how to get involved in them. And I sent him PTDC and UFO. So I'm kind of feeling him out, but this might have been on a little bit of the higher side, but I said, hey, if you can afford to risk $5,000, I'd be more than happy to walk you through every step on getting in, because it is a lot of steps, right? And I do want to spend with someone who isn't in crypto and DeFi. I know I would have to spend multiple hours walking someone through those steps, especially difficult over the phone because he doesn't live near me anymore or anything like that. But that was kind of the just in case bag I was recommending, because I would probably go 2,500, 2,500, between PTDC and UFO, obviously just leaving some like PLS behind for gas, etc. But that was kind of my just in case bag to a brand new person coming into PulseChain to get them fully set up, walk them through kind of a quick educational course as well. And that kind of goes back to, brand new people coming in, like what dollar amount do we think these people are going to come in with? I'm still, I don't want to push anyone, especially where we are. I kind of sent them the charts. I'm sure he's going to kind of watch the charts a little bit. And if we get some green here soon, I'm sure I'll be getting a phone call. You know what I mean? If he sees, okay, Hayden hit me up here, it's now up 50%. Like, I need to pay attention to this.
Right. Yeah, I'm deliberating whether I should mention PulseChain to some friends. I got a group of buddies that I'm just about. Last weekend, I was like, oh, I got to talk to these guys. You know, I think I'm just going to make it a soft toss. You know, because it's like when you have friends, and then you know about this opportunity, and if you didn't tell them about it, it's kind of a bummer, you know, for them, and then you kind of feel bad. So I'm just going to toss it over them to them real kind of like, if you guys want to throw it, you know, whatever you want, speculate on this brand new chain at the bottom of crypto, you know, I'm here to help you if you want to. I might actually, knowing myself, I'll probably do more than just a soft toss though. I can't help it.
Yeah, I think just that the lighthearted, like I said, I kind of just threw it at him. Like, hey, look into it. If you're interested, I'll spend a lot of time with you. If not, you know, no big deal at all. But I probably should have mentioned, because I think one thing that is worth mentioning is the massive in real life marketing campaign that's starting right now.
Right.
That's what kind of stands out to me, that, rate cuts as well, and the fact that just what we know of Richard, previous cycle, he waited for ETH to hit all-time highs before Hex really started to move. So just timing-wise, everything seems to be lining up. So I don't know. I think it's a good time to kind of see who's interested in taking a little bit of risk for massive reward. This is obviously a great time to onboard people to PTGC and UFO at, in my opinion, what could be close to like the range of this microcycles low, right? Like, obviously this isn't the all-time low, that's years ago, but as far as like a great range to DCA, if everything starts to wake up here, we could leave these prices very quickly behind us and never come back.
Yes. I was just talking with Stylus this morning before we went live, and you know, it stuns me the people that are concerned about PulseChain, you know, being in the red right now and close to the bottom, you know, and I'm like, guys, have you looked at Bitcoin? Have you looked at Ethereum? They're all of these crypto assets are going sideways. I mean, from my perspective, like the big ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Pulse, PTDC, UFO, we're all kind of tied together. So it's really no wonder that PulseChain is in the red today, because Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't really moving yet. But here's the thing. We know that PulseChain is a leverage on Ethereum. Ethereum's a leverage on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a leverage on the stock market, the S&P 500. And what's the S&P 500 doing right now? It's at an all-time high. So it's just a matter of time before that liquidity from the S&P 500 flows into Bitcoin, then into Ethereum, then PulseChain, then PTDC. We just got to be patient.
Yeah, I think, you know, what a lot of people are frustrated with isn't the fact that things are going sideways right now. It's that everything else has been trending upwards, either at all-time highs, close to all-time highs, past all-time highs, on new all-time highs. You know, Bitcoin and S&P 500 and gold are all in that category. Ethereum is pretty much tapping its all-time high, but we are closer to our all-time lows.
That's true.
Highs, and no levers are being pulled, even though we see those levers right in front of us that they can be pulled. We know that these levers technically can be pulled at any moment, and people are kind of asking ourselves, well, if not now, when? right? It's like we can wait longer, but when we kind of want to know a little bit of a plan, because if you look at every asset that's around us, we're being extremely overperformed. And
Sure.
And I think that brings some fear, and just knowing that those levers are there and kind of asking yourself, like, if now isn't the time, when is the time? You know, and I think for me, one of the last things that I believe we're waiting on is the ETH all-time high. ETH actually breaking 20-30% into its all-time high. And the ability that people have, you know, if that's with funds that are obvious like SAC funds, if that's with private funds, if that's Richard, or if that's other wealthy people on the chain, being able to use the capital that they have, that they know retail is going to flow into in an actual bull market, that they know companies are going to flow into an actual bull market. There's no guarantee that those kind of people are going to flow into PulseChain, but there's a pretty good guarantee that they're going to flow into Ethereum. So by holding the Ethereum, waiting for that value to flow in, you're actually letting that asset become worth more. So you actually either need to use less of that asset to actually get this chain going, and then you can keep a good portion of it too, to, you know, maybe grow over multi-cycles or whatever, or you just get more impact with what you were planning on using. If we got, you know, another 30% out of the SAC funds, not saying that that's going to be used or not used, just saying in general, like, we could be seeing an extra 200, 300, I think it's 200, an extra $200 million. That would put the SAC wallet in profit like $350 million. But if we utilized it now, you know, it's only 150 in profits. Not saying that that's the plan or anything. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But that's one of the last things for this cycle that I think needs to play out before too much squirming really goes on. Like, I definitely know we want the levers to be pulled, but there is a perfect time to pull these levers, and I think that's what we're currently waiting on. Definitely would like to see our blockchain naturally holding up stronger. Like, that's kind of a little bit depressing that it's naturally falling. But the reason I believe it's naturally falling is we have a situation where people sacrificed funds, where in their head, they're thinking they invested funds, even though it's labeled as a sacrifice. So there's hundreds of millions of dollars invested in a product, but very little of that $100 million actually got put into the product. So there's a lot of debt in this product right now on PulseChain. And some people are trying to get at that value. They're not willing to wait anymore. They're tired of waiting. Some people actually got even better deals than others due to the amount that they did invest. So it doesn't hurt them as much exiting at these levels. So since that debt has not been replaced, it's coming from the price, right? We can feel that. It's growing pains for sure.
It also is a lot of carrots have been chased on chain forever, and from sacrifices to, you know, just tokens, and it goes up and everybody gets sold into, and that money's not staying on chain. So every time you chase a carrot and you top blast, a lot of that pulse you put in there gets swapped for USDC or ETH and goes straight out the bridge. So
yeah, that's a good point, Mando, right? Like, I think it is part of the PulseChain community's responsibility to look at their positions and realize that the Pulse or the PTDC or the UFO or the Hex or the PulseX is most likely best treated in their wallets. They probably paid their hard-earned money for those tokens, and they probably care about the price of those tokens more than the people who trick you out of those tokens. And by people keep giving up their PulseChain to the people who actually don't care about the price increasing, because where they're making the money is tricking people out of their money. They don't need to make the money by the investment going up. it actually hurts the price of the overall chain. This goes for PTDC and UFO. If you're constantly giving up your PTDC and UFO to just being tricked on new projects and meme tokens, and you just top blast over and over again, well, what do you think that does to the overall price of PTDC and UFO? It actually hurts the price. The safest place for your PTDC and UFO to be is not in some liquidity pool. It's actually in your wallet.
Yeah, I mean, there's entities on PulseChain that don't care about PulseChain. And they literally just, when they make the money, they swap it right into ETH or stables. And they just look for the opportunity to do it over and over and over again. It has nothing to do with caring about the PulseChain community whatsoever.
Well, some of them do care about PulseChain, but they have bills outside of crypto that need to be paid. And their job.
No,
I'm
talking about pros, man. I'm talking about people that are pros at this. They don't. It ain't about bills, man. Right?
Well, I mean, it's about profits to them, right?
100%.
They're active on the chain to make profits and bring those profits outside of PulseChain. They have PulseChain bags already. If PulseChain goes, they're set. But in the meantime, what they're doing is working, and their work is to get the valuable assets out of your wallet into their wallet, so then they could take profits off the chain without having to tap into their initial bags for the increase in value.
Yeah, but Prairie, it's like, going back to what you were saying, the bottom for Bitcoin was when it fell through the 300-week moving average and it went down to 15,000 something, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of the floor for what that's PulseChain at 4 zeros and a 1 7. And since that time, it's gone from 15.5 to almost 120,000.
Yeah.
Okay. The bottom for ETH was 900. It's now almost 5,000. I think the bottom for BNB was at the cycle. Yeah, it was 200, and now it's 1,000. Right. So that's the issue, is starting this last cycle, all of the legacy tokens are up 4, 5, 6x or whatever, right? So it's just interesting to see where we're at with that, especially Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin went and did what is that? Let's see what that is. Let's just put out 120,000 just for easy math. 15,500. Yeah, 7.74x already.
Yeah. Stylus and I were talking this morning about the XRP army. That term always comes to mind when I think about XRP, but they've been around for 12 years. And I forget what she said. Maybe she can come up and say what she was stating about XRP, but I was impressed with what their success in our conversation this morning. I was attributing to their community having grown over 12 years. The PulseChain community has only been around for 3 years. So, once we get to our 12th year, just imagine what we're going to be able to accomplish.
Yeah, I think the main thing that personally where I'm at this point, and everybody just has to succumb to the reality that whatever Richard Hart has in store for his blockchain to make his blockchain successful, it's 100% on his timing. He obviously does not give a crap about how anybody feels about timing.
Yep.
At all. Not even 1%.
Yeah. And if anything, it's an opportunity to shake out some bad actors, potentially some bad actors, So I'm good with it.
No, I'm just saying that I think at this stage in the game, it's one of those things where you just have to really realize that you either you're in PulseChain because you think it's a great speculation, but really just losing your mindset whenever you think about time frame. You're either in or you're not, right? Because every excuse we've had as a community, it's this, it's because of this, it's when this, it's when that, it's all already gone and past, and we're still where we are. So it's obvious he's got something else happening.
Mm-hmm. He has lots of levers, Richard does. And he knows when.
I do think though that it's interesting that this massive marketing campaign is happening. And, interest rates were just started to be cut the other day, right? We saw a good spike in Bitcoin, started to go up. BNB just went over 1,000, by the way. So that's a new all-time high. And the community is just very, it's sentiment-wise, it's pretty much just stoic at this point.
What do you mean stoic?
Right. Well, they're just very at this point, the only people that are left, it's just kind of like, I'm not going to get excited about anything anymore. I'm just in, I'm a believer. And I believe that this thing is just before its time. I think that the marketing campaign, we have to let that go. We have to let the cycle play out, but you're in. And there's not much more to it than that at this point.
Yeah, the only people left right now are the Stoics, I think is what you're trying to say. The people that are battle hardened, they can tough it out. I've seen a lot of people come and go, man. And they're going to come back. They will come back. But yeah, the only people left right now are, I don't know how to put it.
Well, you don't see a lot of people, like, compared to the amount of people that are actually in the community, holders, you don't see a lot of people anymore really commenting one way or the other. It's just kind of like fun conversation. You might see one guy like a T-Bird or something, but anyone who had anything to say, they're pretty much long tired out at this point. We went through the Johnny Chaoses. We went through the Freddie Quoteses. We went through the everyone's pretty much, their voices capitulated, and just it is what it is at this point,
Yeah.
But PTGC is still sitting there at what is it, an $85 to $87 million market cap. It's crazy. It's crazy because we were just down there at 50 not too long ago. And now it just feels to me that it's so interesting. The psychology of this is so interesting to me, right? Where we are at. And specific to the grays, I think specific to the grays, just, looking at it just personally as an investor, the grays just feels like the solid rock on which you could build a house on PulseChain. That doesn't mean that the price doesn't go up and down, but I can see that the protocol is growing, and I can see that more people are being drawn to the uniqueness of it, and they like lower prices. We can see the wallets growing. I think those like 350 new wallets or something like that were added, in the last like 30 days or something. But it's just interesting that it keeps growing, and somebody can take $250,000 out, and the chart goes down a little bit, but then you get a bunch of new holders that come in, and it on what feels like almost a chain that's everyone's just very kind of quiet. It's just doing its thing. It's just doing its thing under the surface, and that's what I'm looking for, man. That's the thing I love about PTGC is that it's math. It has, we went back to that post and Prairie a couple weeks ago where Alex was talking about the entropy of a blockchain, and we never really revisited that. And Zen, you said that you were really interested in that. You wanted to kind of rehash that. Well, I did, and it really makes a lot of sense that the success of PTGC is directly correlated to its ability and its mechanisms that do fight against that entropy. And there's just not a lot of things that have that built in. And it's very interesting because we're watching that happen right now, right? But I think that people on PulseChain, I mean, you remember we all sacrificed, and some of you may not remember, but it was 2 weeks, right? And it was 2 weeks, and then it was 2 weeks, and then it was 4 weeks, and then it was 2 years.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then it was 2 years of a wet blanket, and now we're here. What is it, like 4 months, 5 months past beating the SEC? And that's why the community is as tired as it is. But that is indicative, really, of, then I'll be quiet, of right when you probably ought to start telling people about it, in my opinion. And I said this on our last space. When everyone feels like this is probably right when probably the best time to tell your buddies about it who are willing to speculate.
Yeah, the last time PulseChain kind of felt like this is when PTGC was at roughly a 50 million market cap and PulseChain was at its all-time low. A few months.
Exactly.
Right? And then we had a bounce off of that extreme depression, right? Like even Richard kind of came out and said like, hey, give it a month, things will change. And then sure enough, a month came by and things were changing, things were coming out. There was light at the end of the tunnel, and obviously it just wasn't straight up from there. There's a little bit of a correction, having to test the magnets, etc. But you can kind of feel it again. And who knows if it goes a little bit lower or whatever. But definitely I feel like you can look at the morale of the chain and very much find the bottoms. And that's when you kind of have to ask yourself, is like, hey, is there anyone that I wanted to onboard to PTGC or PulseChain or UFO before this thing really starts to go? Obviously, there's risk of it going lower, but we've done so much of the hard work already. We've gone through, 4 years. It's a very strange opportunity that we still have prices on PulseChain that are almost, I don't want to say risk-free, but the risk-to-reward ratio is very, very good, to where on other blockchains, that risk-to-reward ratio is just not really as amazing. The risk is like not as much there, right? You could onboard someone to Bitcoin right now. You could onboard someone to Ethereum at pretty much all-time highs. And we know that, their legacy, and we know companies and governments are going to be buying this stuff up throughout the next many years, and they're most likely still good. But what's the reward side of that? They go up 4x, where over here on PulseChain risk side, obviously there's the risk of the chain just not getting the adoption and Richard not doing what we believe he's going to do. But the reward is actually life-changing. And we shouldn't technically have an opportunity to get people in at these levels. Like, I technically think PulseChain should be above SAC price, or even a few X's above SAC price, looking at where the rest of the market is compared to when the PulseChain sacrifice was. Timeline, pretty much Bitcoin is twice what Bitcoin was when the sacrifice was going on for PulseChain, but PulseChain is 60% down. But that's opportunity. If you believe in the success of PulseChain, you believe in Richard Hart as a person having integrity and wanting his chain to be successful, it's very easy to be successful off of this level. And if there was a time to onboard someone to PulseChain, PTGC, or UFO, I think we're looking at it. You have an extreme discount on PTGC against PulseChain, and a very nice discount against the dollar as well. Usually when both those discounts are in front of us, this is kind of marking the lows for PTGC. Last time we were kind of looking at lows like this where Pulse PTGC was at pretty low levels against Pulse, which is pretty much the level we're at right now, 7.5 or 7.3. And then PulseChain also being somewhat low. PulseChain was a little lower before than it is now, but we do want to be trending upwards now, so this could be very much it. PTGC jumped from ratio 7 to 1 all the way up to 20 to 1 in a matter of like a month, 2 months. The Dow started helping out again. You know, it went into save mode. We went down to 7.5, 7.3, pretty much where we are right now. And then the market started picking up. The Dow started turning on a little bit. And then what do you know? We pretty much tapped our all-time high against PulseChain again just a month and a half ago when the market was in our favor.
No, I think that's a little bit of alpha leak there. You keep mentioning where the ratio is currently, and the Dow started turning on. And I think currently the Dow has like 7 or 8 billion PLS, which is worth what, like $250,000 or something. So I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough, is just how much capital PTGC as a project has and how much capital it keeps earning every day based on trading volume. That's something that the many projects don't have, is any kind of revenue source that can be used for benevolent reasons. Buybacks and burns, buys and LP ads, marketing, whatever the Dow votes on. So, I mean, that's a big number sitting in that Dow wallet, if I'm correct.
Hi, guys. It's interesting, Nick, that you talk about that. I don't know if you guys saw the video from Raoul Pal the other day, and they were talking about the crypto market and the rise of revenue generating projects. And it's like they were talking indirectly about PTGC.
I didn't. I'd love to hear kind of a recap.
If you have a link to that video, drop it in the TG, brother.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Yeah, I didn't see this. If you have a recap, if you could drop a snip of it or whatever, I'd love to watch it.
There's actually, I think that, you know, Raoul Paul's thesis about he calls it banana zone, basically the cycle of, and it coincides with the American presidential elections of liquidity. But then they were saying that obviously the crypto market is evolving all the time, and the memes pump and dumping it's flattening out, and that the institutional money is looking at crypto projects. Well, what actually makes money? I was like, it's BTGC, you know, the revenue. And they were saying like they're really just interested in revenue generating projects, and it's becoming more. I think Raoul Pal was making the point that he saw this in the 90s with the deregulation of the telecoms and how they were investing in projects as well. And he said it seems to be like repeating. So basically the number one thing is that the crypto project has to be revenue generating.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think as crypto evolves and it becomes more of a serious investment platform, the tokens or the assets that have real revenue generation, and that can come from an amazing utility, right? Like PulseX technically is also revenue generating. It's buying and burning its supply. Also, blockchains are technically revenue generating because users need Pulse to interact with the chain. So as long as the demand is there of that blockchain, they are revenue generating as well. But most tokens that launch don't generate any revenue, right? They're just trying to onboard people in. Usually the people onboarding them in just want the valuable assets in that liquidity pool so they can extract. Some people are actually good actors, but the problem is even the ones that are good actors, I just don't see how a product could keep up with a system like PTGC or like PulseX in general, right? Like as a long-term investment, I'll use PulseX instead of PTGC just so it's a little less biased. I was looking at the amount of buy and burn that's happened for PulseX in the last 2 years. And at the price we are at PulseX, which is a quarter of its sacrifice price, we have bought and burned, I think, around $35 million of PulseX at these prices. That's $35 million of actual users that have technically bought PulseX, but then sent their value to the debt address. Going back to sacrifice price, we're getting close to $140 million, right? So that's $140 million of PulseX at sacrifice price that has literally been bought out of the lows, and it's never going to be sold before. If we move up year after year, 2x SAC price, 10x SAC price, 20x SAC price, the fact that all of those tokens have been bought up at the bottom and it's buying up every single day for the rest of eternity, I just don't see how a product that doesn't have those same features built into it or heavily bonded with those products that do have those features can keep up. I just think it's like the evolution of every sport, evolution of everything is things come out or players come out that are just better than the previous generation of players, and they increase the overall level of play or level of education or level of intelligence or level of product throughout the whole industry, because everyone then has to pretty much up the standard or you just get left behind.
Yeah, and when Rob's talking about revenue generating stuff, generally it has to do with providing an actual product, right? And an actual company
or service, product
backing it. And that means you have a ton of overhead and you have a ton of things to deliver people. TTGC is superior to that.
100%.
PTGC is we've already seen it's generating millions of dollars of revenue every year with no overhead, with no product to deliver outside of the product of revenue generation. Nothing like that exists out there.
And in a way, you describe the evolving nature of the market, because one of the reasons I think we all like PulseChain and the RH ecosystem is because of the absence of the investor money that control the coins, VC money. That's it, VC money and all that, and it's a rigged game. But I'd say that just like you said, revenue, it comes from other sources. But if people could just realize this is further downstream again, we're like so ahead of the game. We're like all the money, all the revenue that's generated goes back to the holders. It doesn't go to VC people. It doesn't go to SUI VC people. It's absolutely, it's a work of art.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I've even grown even more passionate about PulseChain as the last 4 years have gone on is really starting to understand how Richard has structured every project to where they're self-propelling themselves. He very easily could have designed the products in a way to where they were propelling Richard's wealth, like just literally large chunks of revenue just flowing right into wallets that he had control of or foundations he had control of. But a lot of the products that he's designed, PulseX, Pump.Tires, the bridge, the even PulseChain in general, mathematically, he's created a situation where they are designed to succeed better than other blockchains and other dexes and other bridges that currently exist. Right now, we're lacking tons of demand, right? But the supply side of all these products and where the value that gets generated goes, I cannot think of a better situation to be in on PulseChain. It's amazing to me that we haven't gotten like natural demand because of people figuring out, but I think that's what shows like where the space currently is you can show them everything. Like, hey, mathematically, this is how it's all laid out. It's all decentralized. It doesn't matter, you know, with or without Richard. But what really needs to happen now, I think, is just the green candles. Is you can tell someone mathematically this stuff is great and it's going to work out, but most people don't believe it until they actually see it. And they're fine buying it a little bit higher, but they want to see that machine actually working and increasing the price of the asset. This is like even with PTGC and UFO, we've been showing users for the last 2 years, PTGC is technically generating millions of dollars a year. And it's gotten the attention of like a subgroup of people, the people here on PulseChain. But what happens when the revaluation starts to occur and it goes from generating a few $1 million a year, 5 million, to generating 20, 30, $40 million a year? What happens if it starts generating $100 million a year? This is kind of the stuff that most people are looking to see. And if that happens and it's coming from a system that the APY is paid out in a trustless way, where we're able to do strategic moves with the DAO based on where we are in the market. There's also the automatic functions adding to LP, doing buy and burns. There's other massive protocols like UFO buying and burning it as well. This is where I think a lot of people start waking up to the system, especially like Mando is saying, once they understand that this system is generating more revenue than some of the biggest crypto companies that exist with none of the overhead and none of the centralization.
Hey guys, I had one question. I have like multiple locks with PTGC coming up, you know, like over the next months. Should I be taking them out and combining them into one longer stake, a lock, or just let them just rip the way they are? They're between 90 and 180 days, all of them.
So
Mando's the expert on this.
I'll let Zen go for it.
yeah, so you do not need to close these down. I just want to make that clear. You can actually
that I understand.
Okay, yeah, so you got that. So then this is, you're not, if you close them down and then relock them for a longer time frame than the current tiers that you're in, which it sounds like you're in tier 1. Tier 1 is 90 days to 365 days. If you lock longer than that, you will earn more APY based on being in a higher tier, but you are going to have to fulfill that new tier starting from 0. Where right now, once you fulfill your time tier, you're still going to continue to earn, but you don't need to start from 0. You're actually now in a spot that we call a liquid lock, to where you're still locked, you're still earning based on being locked, but actually if a time comes up in the future that you ever need these funds, you can actually close it down at any moment and access your funds with no penalty. If you close them down when the lock comes due here and you combine them or, you know, do a new plan with them, you do have to start from day 0 and fulfill your new time promises that you create. But
So there's no benefit from taking like 9 1.5 million locks.
No,
and
if
combining.
you're thinking that you unlock them and you combine them because it represents more capital in one lock, no.
Okay.
No. The only reason why you would unlock now and go out further,
My new stakes I'm doing out further, but I have like everybody else, they put their foot in the water. So for quite a few months, I was just like putting, 90 days.
yeah,
90
you know
days,
that here
90
we
days.
don't sit here trying to make you do 5 all day. It ain't like that.
Yeah, I would never do that.
Straight, right? So yeah,
I'm
the only
60
reason
years
why,
old.
if
so,
you're in liquid locks, brother, if you're in liquid locks, man, those are great locks. Once those suckers go liquid, you're earning that yield and it's liquid and you can claim your yield anytime. The only reason why you would pull those and then do them again would be, in my opinion, if you're wanting to go out longer to capture more yield for a longer term hold.
Okay. And one other thing, I don't think that Richard actually needs to pump, all his core coins, but it would be nice to see him set like floors, even if they were like small floors, and buy up that way. Because even if it went up, like 0.0025 per week, over the long run, when people do look at the charts, they would see like, oh, it's up, it's up, it's up. So every time somebody dumps out, if he just brought it back up, I don't think he needs to like overly pump all of his core coins. Just hold flooring. I think that would work out the best.
So I agree. I think that the chain needs to be revalued. It's like it's way too cheap, and every time it goes lower, it gives people an opportunity to get back in who just want to dump again. So at some point, he has to determine where the new floor is. Hopefully, it's above SAC rate. Just for whatever psychological reasons, somewhere up there, and then whoever wants to sell, they just get bought out, right? It doesn't go
you
back
can see
down.
the same wallets over and over buying and then selling at 15%. When it goes up 10-15%, they sell.
100%.
Then it goes down. 100%. Then it goes, and it's the same freaking people. If he's
Yeah.
no, because I mean
It's like making money, man.
I know, but what I'm saying is he needs to screw these people.
Yes, and the way you do that is with a big God candle that goes straight up to a new level.
Yeah, but then you're going to get more people dumping. If he incrementally just, like I said, just kept the bottom going in an upward fashion, he wouldn't have to spend the revenue for a God candle. More
I
people
don't mean
would
a
be
God
like,
candle like a 20x. I just literally mean it goes, it bumps up there, and then whoever thinks they're going to get it, they're selling, and it just keeps going without them at that point. They get wrecked, right?
Yeah, just like a 25% move that never retraces, like we saw with
Exactly.
Ethereum. Like we saw with Ethereum when it went from 1,500 up to 2,000, and everybody's like, "All right, I'll sell into this. I just made 25%, and then now we're at 5, and you can't get back in down there."
It never
sitting on the
retraces.
sidelines, hoping.
Correct.
Yeah. So
So if they want to get back in, they got to buy back in at a higher price, because even if it stayed where it's at, they got to eat the slippage, right?
correct. Which is why I'm pretty sure, this is only my opinion, but all of these Etch-a-Sketches, love it. Get the name out. We're getting a lot of views on TikTok, X, everything. But I think the underlying motivation is for him to slip revenue in on this merchandising thing. That way it doesn't look like a fake pump.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Well, it's going the wrong way if that's the strategy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not a happy person either. I'm not with any of my PTGC. I'm not happy with anything right now, but I'm a long-term holder. So
yes,
I mean, I'm in this for a while. So I keep putting in. Yesterday I bought some more too. So what are you gonna do? Last time it went up to 3 cents, I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And then I watched it, go back down to, 0.08 now on Hex side. Most of my investment into PTGC is right around between 5 and 6. So I'm kind of like almost break even because of all of the revenue that it's making. I'm a little low, but not much.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, though. I think what we need now is to just start increasing, and it doesn't need to be a God candle of a 2, 5, 10x. Just like you guys said, 20% increases fairly often. When people sell into it, just move it to the next level and make the chart actually just look like a sound investment. When you look at what PulseChain has gone in through for the last 4 years, and you look at what people put into it 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and where it is today, it obviously just does not look like a sound investment. You have a situation where people took real capital, invested it 4 years ago, and if they just went into Bitcoin at that time, they would have been up 2x. And since they went into PulseChain, it's down 60%, right? I think the first step is start moving it up. Let the people who are trading just get left behind. They'll probably trade as it goes up, but they'll thin themselves out naturally. And then while we're in the process of letting the traders wash out because they're selling and they're not getting their re-entry, and then they either need to make the decision to re-enter higher or just the bag they have left is the bag they have left. But then what naturally will happen is now the chart starts to actually look like a true investment. So people who are looking in can say, wow, look it. So the PulseChain community sacrificed 4 years ago. They're up 2x. The exact same that pretty much is with Bitcoin or Ethereum right now. Like this is now a sound investment. And then if it goes higher, 2x to 4x to 10x, right? That's where it's like, oh my gosh, they don't even care about what we went through.
Where people can look at the investment and say, well, it's a 2-year-old, thing. They went through their growing pains, but now, hey, look at this. It looks like they're starting to gain traction.
Yeah, and you make a good point, Zen. Nobody on the outside looking in gives a crap about what we went through. All they see is, wow, PulseChain just did an 8x. I mean, it's already up. They're up now compared to everything else, the whole cycle in terms of legacy stuff. Yeah, we waited 4 years to get an 8x on the cores, but guess what? The people that are locked in with positions are now locked in on a brand new L1 blockchain, with an 8x underneath them. That's a very nice place to be, even though you had to go through the valley of the shadow of death to get there. You know what I mean? But nobody cares. The rest of the market they don't have any psychological connection to any of that. They don't care. They just see a new blockchain that's going on.
Yeah, before we go on to the next topic, there's 60 people in here, only 8 retweets and 12 likes. Make sure to retweet it, hit the like button, leave a comment, help the algorithm, let people know about PTGC and PulseChain. Super simple, guys. Just click the button. You're already here listening, so support the spaces.
I appreciate that, Nick. I think that's going to be the big thing. I was telling you guys earlier that I was, talking to a friend that I have from a long time ago that I've just stayed in contact with here or there through the internet. And he posted a picture of a chart, and I was kind of asking him, about that, and showed him PTGC and UFO and PulseChain. And the impact that would have if in the last 2 years PulseChain was grinding up, it doesn't even need to be a crazy amount, but just in a positive direction, the success rate of onboarding users will be night and day, in my opinion. I think the success rate will be over 2x, 3x. The user sees he got in a year ago, he would have been up 2x. That's awesome. If it's a 5x, that's even more awesome, right? Like, people understand that stuff. But if they look and say, hey, I got in a year ago, I would have been down 60%. Like, I'm a little scared of getting in this. A lot of people can't lose 60% or mentally don't want to lose 60% of the revenue that they've worked hard for in the real world. There's the pro and con of investments is a lot of people just stay in fiat because they don't want to take that risk, right? With risk, there's obviously reward. And what we want to show people here on PulseChain is when you take that risk, there is a reward. Right now, we're not showing that at all. And that's going to be a huge point for us. One, we need to start increasing to just not give the traders the entry point at a lower floor. Obviously, right now, it's working perfectly for them. They probably sold right above sack price. They saw it was getting heavy, or not sack price, half a sack price. 4 zeros, 5.5, I think was the high. This last push. Well, look at, they just got like a 50% dip or something like that, or a 30% dip, and they're getting a chance to re-enter and do the same thing again. At some point, we have to just keep pushing forward past those resistance levels, and then those users then need to make the decision: do I re-enter at higher levels to trade again, or do I just let the rest of my bag ride now that this, isn't bouncing in between these ranges anymore? And then the next thing for the people who do want to onboard and educate is a better looking chart, right? The confirmation that PulseChain isn't a sinking ship, but an actual investment that has growth over periods of time instead of loss.
I've got some urgent news. I just got a message from a buddy of mine. Within the last 30 minutes, he went into a fake Telegram group, a fake PTGC Telegram group, and they ended up draining his wallet. He was having difficulty ending a stake. And they told him that there was a problem with MetaMask, and they sent him to a site that looked like the PTGC site. And they removed they were able to end his stake, and then they drained everything off of his wallet. So please be careful out there, guys. There's only one. I have a Telegram now, but there's one main Telegram group. Just be careful about make sure you enter the correct groups, guys.
Yeah, Richard just talked about this. It's an epidemic in crypto. If you go in asking for help, you're asking to be scammed. Period. So if you ever need help, you have to only be in communication with the people that you know for a fact are the people that you know are there to help you. You cannot say, "Hey, I need help. I don't know how to do a stake." You're literally just asking to be scammed in there. It sucks, but as a matter of fact, Richard just did a post on that last week.
Did everybody hear about the Google hack as well? They're telling everybody to update your Google Chrome extension because there's a worldwide hack. They said they don't know. It can affect crypto users, but they're not for sure. But to go into your Google and update your Google Chrome as soon as possible.
When was this?
It happened September 16th. I just watched a YouTube video on it this morning, and he breaks it down for a whole hour. I can post it down here, but yeah, definitely look into it. I updated mine. It shows you he tells you exactly what it's supposed to be updated to. So you should update your Google Chrome and then relaunch your Google Chrome because people are. So what's happening is that people are going into their Chrome extension, and then once they get to that point and they try to log into something, they actually overtake your computer and your Google and can get into your stuff. So I'm not the most tech savvy person, so I don't know all the logistics he was saying, but all I know he said was to update it. So I'll post a YouTube video down at the bottom.
It also applies to the Brave browser as well.
Yep, the Brave one as well. So
Is that the Cyber Squirrel YouTuber? So you need to update it to the 0.186 version of Google Chrome.
Yep.
Mando, I don't know if you noticed, but there's some scammer on the Telegram. He's got the same picture as you, and he's trying to pretend that he's you. Also.
I saw that last night. Same picture, same username.
Yeah, and he's obviously they're going off some sort of psychological script. He's trying to
I don't understand how they could grab the same username. Maybe it was a capitalization or something. I don't know. I banned him from the TG last night completely. I don't know if he's back in there already. It's just an epidemic, guys.
Yeah.
Like at this point, to be honest with you, everybody knows my voice. You can't replicate my voice.
No, you can.
Sen's voice.
No, we can replicate our voices with AI.
Yeah, I guess that's
Nobody can replicate Mando's laugh.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. You can't replicate how I talk, though. You can replicate my voice, but I'm just saying that at this stage in the game, you have to. Your OPSEC has to be at the highest level.
Yeah.
If not, you're going to lose all of your money. It's just that simple.
I tell everybody right now, this late in the game, be very careful on what you're linking your stuff to, because it's like you said, it's gonna get worse as the crypto bull market starts to kick off, right? It's just gonna be one after another. And I told myself, I'm not doing anything new. Period. If I don't know what it is, I'm not touching it. I don't give a damn if they're gonna give me $1 million to stake $10. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with people is greed. These new people come in here and think, oh, they're so excited. I recently I've onboarded 3 people in the last about 3 or 4 months. And, when you onboard people, they get excited because it's something new, right? And then I tell them straight up, I'm like, I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Don't do anything without asking me first, because all it takes is one time, and that one time your stuff's gone.
They always do, man.
$30,000 he got hit because he couldn't unstake his launch token. Went into the launch Telegram group, drained him for $30,000.
I got to a point where I had to tell my family, stop sending people to me. And I did. I kind of put out like an email. I said, stop talking about me. Don't tell anybody about me. Stop using my name, period. The next week, my son came to me. He's like, Dad, my best friend's mom wants to do this. I was like, oh, yeah, so I'm like, okay, one more time. Tell my best friend's mom and all this. So I charge money, because if you don't charge money, they don't take you seriously. And that's why I actually charge money. So I charged $1,500. I walked her through a complete security protocol onboarding process, got the tracers, did everything, did Zoom, professional setup, complete walkthrough. We got everything done. She takes her position. And I said, do not do anything else without me at this point. You do not know what you're doing. No problem, I swear. Dude, like 4 days later, dude.
She drained.
She literally sent, not only did she lose money on getting drained clicking on this thing, she also sent $50,000 to an ICO that was on Solana. And she didn't send it from her custodial, her DeFi wallet. She sent it straight to Coinbase.
Holy shit.
Dude, so it doesn't matter how postured you are and professional you are with a lot of these people, because they just think they know something. And that's the problem in crypto. If you think you know something and you haven't been in crypto, you don't know anything.
No. Especially
you have to just trust the people that you trust, and just, if you want to make a move, just get with the people that you know first. Now, if you're in the Telegram and you need help specific to PTGC, there's admins in there. Zen's an admin, I'm an admin, Prairie's an admin, Riddick's an admin. You can see the tags for the admins. What I like people to do is say, hey, do you mind opening up the VC? Because only we can open up the voice chat.
Yep.
A faker can't open up the voice chats when we can actually talk, right?
Yep.
So that's a great way to verify. You can say, hey, do you mind opening up the VC for a minute so we can talk and I can verify that this is the correct account, right? You got to do steps like that or you're going to get rinsed.
100%. And it's sad when it happens, man. You put as much money as you can in there and then it's just gone. And that's the thing too, is, like when I onboarded the people, one of my favorite lines that I use is, I get them into PTGC because this is the only coin that I've ever put money into that I've always remained in a positive state. I bought in a long time ago, last September. I've never went underwater with PTGC. It's crazy. And, and you onboard people on certain, in certain months, oh God, the train is really, oh wow, look at it, it's going, and then 2 months later you get somebody and it's low and they're like, oh man, this thing's low, and it starts to pump a little bit. They're like, oh man, you're a genius. And then where's it at now? It's right back down again. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny when you onboard people on certain parts of whenever the cycle is, right? So my first thing is I like Hex and I like PTGC. And that's the ones I have them buy, man. And like I said, it's like I've never lost money in PTGC. I've always remained in an up position, and it's kind of helped my portfolio where it needs to be. So kudos to PTGC. I think it's a great protocol. And then your post on X, God, they're so positive. How can you not read those and not want to get in? I swear to you, man. I'm like, God, man, it makes me excited. Like when it could be red days and you post something so positive, it makes you, feel like, okay, I'm in the right place. And believe it or not, you have so many people in here, who bought, who hasn't bought. It creates a difference for the people that like, man, it's down, but you read that and it keeps them positive. So keep up the good work, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Thanks for saying that. I think also, another really strong thing is we have myself and then strong community members like Banana and Mando who are showing up every day as well, like just being here for us all as a community, right? Not every day is a wonderful day in crypto. Actually, the majority of days in crypto is red. It's like a ton of sideways action, some down action, and a few months of green action. It's pretty much a bull and bear cycle of crypto. And I do think it takes, a community of people willing to be there for the community and educate the community. Just like Mando was saying, like he'll open the VC any time of the day and help people. In the future, if anyone has any issues with staking or help with website, you guys are 100% right. Like the amount of scammers that are going to pop up in PTGC with the success of PTGC is going to become mind-blowing. It's going to be so crazy. So if you have a question, Banana does live streams that you can literally chat and he'll show you live what you need to do, where you can actually see his body showing you. Mando will open the VCs. All of our DMs are always open. Like we are here to help you guys because by you guys being successful, it helps the protocol being successful. Like no one wins if one of our onboards gets drained. Like that's like worst case scenario. The hacker isn't keeping those tokens. They're going to just sell them on the market. You've now lost all of your investment into the protocol, which I do believe can change your life as the protocol grows over time. Like it's not something that is going to do 100x in one day. Like a lot of people are hoping for buying brand new Pump.Tires tokens. It's a long-term play. It's a long-term investment. But I do believe it has the potential to change pretty much everyone's life who's in it currently. That's what I've designed it to do. I hope it changes my family's life. I hope it changes everyone's life who's along this journey with us. But we have to be careful, guys. Like at this point, like you were saying, like it's not even worth playing around with protocols. 99% of protocols at launch do fail or are scams or, it's at the point where even if you want to play, I suggest take that ledger that you have your PTGC on and all your PulseChain on and all your Hex on and put that away in the safe. Get a brand new computer, throw $1,000 on it if you want to play, and just keep all of that separate from the real value that you have.
And here's one key thing that will help everybody keep their crypto safe, and that is to never digitize a seed phrase. I was just reading the chat and I was having with this gentleman, and he literally typed his seed phrase into a website. Mistake. Well, that was what caused his wallet to get drained. He was careless with his keyboard. Unfortunately, when you're importing like a soft wallet that you use all the time, you don't keep your main assets on it. You are keying in a seed phrase into a computer, but that should be seldom. Like if you're using a hardware wallet, and everybody should be using a hardware wallet, those seeds should never be digitized. You should never key them in. You should never screenshot them. They should be penned down or even etched into stainless steel, and never take a photo of them. I don't even whisper mine out loud near microphones. It's that serious, guys, because this is the thing. We don't know where this crypto thing is going. And you put $1,000 into crypto, you can only imagine what it could potentially be worth in a decade. So treat it like that whatever you're putting in right now, treat it like it is going to be worth $10 million.
Yeah, $1,000 in the PTDC and UFO at these levels before PulseChain has gotten any adoption, that alone can be life-changing. There's only so many tokens that exist. There's barely any even in liquidity pools for the rest of the world to be exposed to. If this product becomes what we believe it can become, if PulseChain becomes what we believe it could become, if Richard's going for just the slightest bit of glory, I honestly believe $1,000 in PTDC and UFO can change someone's family's life for the better, more than a lot of us can imagine, especially if you have a little bit of delayed gratification. There's no increase of token quantity. It decreases with every single transaction. Every movement on the chain is technically helping decrease the supply of PTDC, doing buy and burns, making it more scarce, buying existing holders out that want to sell their positions and sending them to the dead address. There's never been anything in crypto or in real life that I know of that exists like this, where you have full-blown protocols built on the bottom levels of a legitimate layer one blockchain that have the potential like PTDC and UFO has. The X multiplier reflexivity of it could be absolutely crazy, but we have to keep our values safe. If that's literally saying, hey, I got my hex, I got my PTDC, I'm literally just putting this ledger away for years, and you're going to just have a different computer, a different ledger for playing around because people like touching buttons and stuff like that. If that's what needs to be done, do it. Keeping that value safe, I think, is super, super important. The PTDC and UFO protocol have put a lot of effort in the security side of the protocol with self-custody and all this kind of stuff. And self-custody, real decentralization, like it's super important. But again, this is another risk to reward thing. With self-custody, with full decentralization, one bad click, one bad move, doing something too tired, not aware, could cost you a good portion of your net worth. So whenever interacting, double check what you're doing. Have different wallets for different things, long-term wallets, mid wallets, short-term gambling wallets, whatever you need to do. But it's a very, very serious thing. And most likely it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Yeah, I'm actually at the point where anyone I onboard in real life, I used to kind of encourage them to join the community, join the Telegram, make a Twitter account, watch everything going on there. I actually don't even tell them to do any of that anymore. I don't even want them on social media. Not that I don't want them to see updates. It's just pretty much someone that doesn't know the industry of how crazy and horrible it actually is as far as the amount of scammers. You're like setting them up for failure because they're coming here thinking that everyone DMing them, everyone trying to help them is like a good character. Even if you tell them it's a bad character, they don't understand that 99.9% of things that launch is a scam or a failed project. They don't understand that everyone calling projects is literally just getting the value out of your wallet into their wallet. Like they just don't understand how cutthroat the industry is. It's like best off to just get them in, get them their own computer and ledger.
Yeah, set it and forget it, man.
Yeah, and then hey, close this thing up, put it in your safe. Contact me when you're ready to take profits or whatever. You can watch the chart on your phone.
That's very good advice. I love that. Joe Steezy is asking about the Pulse Chain bridge. He said it's having issues. I know he says there's a Token Express, but I am not familiar with them. And like you guys are saying, be careful be careful what you connect to. Is Token Express safe? Do you guys know if Token Express is safe?
Supposedly it's right there on the PulseChain.com website. Me personally, I've never used it, and I probably wouldn't even touch it unless I absolutely needed to bridge money in or out. I would probably even go Liberty Swap before them, just because of the amount of activity I've seen out of Liberty Swap and their ability to completely help everyone in need within minutes. I've seen in their comments, someone says, hey, I'm having an issue. They're right there helping them. But yeah, that's, it's a great point. Like, yeah, I think there's an issue with the Pulse Chain bridge right now. UI, I guess, is not connecting right. I don't know why. It's been like a week now like this. Obviously, this is not good for onboarding for Pulse Chain. But if you're not necessarily needing the value, I would probably just wait until it's up and running again. The second solution I would probably go to would be Liberty Swap, honestly. Maybe Mando has a little bit more information on that.
And that's libertyswap.finance.
I just used Liberty Swap to onboard 2 people. It was by Coinbase. I got Ethereum, pushed it over, hooked up the wallet, and within 2 minutes, swapped all his Ethereum into PLS. And then we did another transaction with another guy that I did Ethereum right to USDC on board, buying PTGC. So, and it cost 37 cents. They said that it was free. They were trying to make it where it was free, no fees, but there still is a 37-cent fee. So you do have to have some Ethereum and some, you have to have some Ethereum on there, which is not your typical $20 that you used to pay on the bridge. 37 cents isn't really nothing. It's like doing a transaction with PLS, but it was really simple. I mean, it was simple. I mean, I did it on FaceTime with the person. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, I actually switched him. He had Solana, so we had to do a Phantom wallet as well. Same thing. Just as long as you had a little bit of, soul, you could just boom right into Pulse Chain.
I'm just wondering, why are you guys using buying Ethereum from Coinbase when you can just buy USDC on Coinbase, swap it to Base for free, and then bring it into Pulse Chain for free through Liberty Swap?
Because the guy already had a bunch of Ethereum on Coinbase, and I got him into Pulse Chain. I'm like, hey, bro, you need to bring some of that money over here. I think there's some good protocols that you need into. But yeah, that's a great point on that. That is, it's way cheaper that way, right?
Yeah, it's like free.
Yeah, because it runs from the base to that, right? Because every time you get on Liberty Swap, base is the first USDC you see, so you have to switch it to Ethereum. So yeah, that makes sense. So I didn't really know that. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took this gentleman's crypto, all of it. He says they took everything that he had. He'd spent 2 years dollar cost averaging.
That's so sad. And, his heart's broken, man. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
Yeah, any look, you have to know what you own and what you interact with and what you don't. There's only one thing you interact with PTGC, right? It's the smart contract. And if you're not using the smart contract, you're using the UI. And there's only one link to the UI. So if somebody sends you another link, it's a scam. Unfortunately, people they're so nice and they're so trusting and they think everybody wants to help, like Zen's saying. And in reality, it's Satan on the other end of the keyboard.
Yeah, it's not even just scammers. There's a lot of bad people within crypto, and they're not bad. It's just their job, right? Their job is to make money off of retail coming in, and that's by getting them into projects that they don't actually even believe are doing well, or if that's guiding them down places that is referral links or whatever. You know what I mean? There's just tons of places people make money off of this industry, and the honest truth is a lot of them aren't genuinely trying to increase your net worth or set you financially free. They're trying to set themselves financially free and increase their own net worth. That's why they're here. That's why they're doing what they're doing. And then, of course, there's even the really bad side of it where they're not even trying to sell you a product or anything. They're just trying to get into your wallet and literally take everything. One thing that you can do in Telegram is you can actually pin 4 of your favorite Telegram groups that are important to you. Could be any 4. If you want, you can also pin the Grays group up there. So if any copies come out, which they will, you know exactly which is the right one because it's always going to be pinned. And anyone else that pops up automatically is a scam one because there is not 2. There's not 3. There is only 1.
Well,
Hey guys, on a different note, I forgot. If you move your UFO to a different wallet, does that do the same thing that it does with PTTC? You get a percentage taken out of that,
Mhm.
like what is it, 1% or
Yes.
something on UFO too? Okay.
Yeah, it's not 1% though. It's the fee. So with PTBC and UFO, the fee to buy or sell is the fee to actually transact. So any transaction with the code has that fee. So even when you send your PTBC, you're going to get a 5% fee to send. It goes to all the same things buying and selling does. And the same thing with UFO. When you send your UFO, 6% fee, same as the buy and sell. It goes to all the things that the UFO contract goes to.
Okay, so that's just like from moving it from one wallet to another. That's the same thing, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Transferring.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that's one reason Banana always says, when setting up your PTGC or UFO, definitely pre-plan it, get it to the wallet that you want it to be held in, because a lot of people will buy in one wallet and then start sending it around and so on and so forth. You can do that with PTGC and UFO. Some people like using condom wallets for everything and then just sending the tokens to their ledger and stuff. You can do that. You're just going to get charged an extra fee. Another way you could go about it is using the legitimate wallet or ledger wallet that you want to use to hold those assets in long term. When you're buying PTGC and UFO, treat it very seriously, in my opinion. This isn't for you because I know you've been in it for a while, but for anyone listening, PTGC and UFO, in my opinion, are long-term systems. So treat them like long-term systems, put them in a wallet that you plan in that value being in for possibly ever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. I did. I did. I have, the UFO and I have them in separate wallets, right? Because, here's a great point. I had a hot wallet that I used just to bring money on to buy quickly if I was trying to get a good price action. And it's funny, I used the OKX wallet and I had traded out of some money out of one of my coins and went into USDC, and he took all my USDC but didn't touch anything else in the wallet. I don't know if it's because he didn't have PulseChain downloaded because on OKX you have to add everything PulseChain. but not on USDC. It just shows up there, right? So he took all my USDC, but anything I had, other coins, he didn't take. It was the wildest thing. It was like $1,700, but I still to this day can't figure out why and how he did that, and why he didn't take a wallet. He just took the USDC, and that was it. And I think it's because he doesn't know what chain I was on, and he couldn't see exactly what I had, right? Because PulseChain is not something that a lot of people know about on that system, So it was kind of crazy. Do you guys have any insight on that? Because I'm still baffled.
Are you sure it wasn't like you connected to a contract and approved spending for USDC, but didn't approve spending for anything else?
Nope. I had approved for USDC because that was my wallet that I kind of did some swing trades out of. I was kind of swing trading EHEX a little bit, trying to build my bag, 10, 20% here or there. That was it. So that USDC was always approved, right? So I still don't understand what happened. You know what I mean? So I had a bag of Solid X in there, didn't touch it. I had a bag of something else in there that didn't touch.
Well, that's what I mean. Maybe it wasn't that they got access of your whole wallet, but you just approved the spending of USDC in a malicious contract.
Gotcha. But I only used PulseX. That's what I mean. All I was doing was trading from EHEX to USDC. So that's why I'm like, I didn't hook to anything else.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know then.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, probably just someone just looked at your wallet real quick on Etherscan and was like, oh, this is what he's got, and then just moved on.
Right. Yeah, it still blows my mind. I'm like, he just took all my USDC and nothing else. But he didn't know anything else was in that wallet, so I don't know. But anyways.
Hey, Zen.
Hopefully you do have a new wallet now.
The 90-day revenue accumulation is $940,000. You divide that by 90, that comes out to $10,444 a day, which comes out to almost $4 million in revenue a year at these levels. All right, man, love you. $4 million in revenue generation a year, with no overhead, with the blockchain performing the way it's performing right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge point, like where PulseChain is right now. There's no, like when I say no new users, there's obviously new users coming in, but there's less value on this blockchain than there was a year ago. There's less value on this blockchain than there was a year and a half ago. There's less value on this blockchain than there was 2 years ago, right? So when I say there's no new users, there is a few new users coming in, but there's less value on this chain than there was even when the launch of the chain, a year into the chain. So if we're able to do this type of stuff in the environment, we're an index. Our main utility is literally generating revenue off of our connected assets moving up and down. But think about it. Everything we're connected to is in such a bad situation right now. And I don't mean that in negatively to PulseChain. I'm just being realistic on, think how powerful this machine could be if all the assets that we're connected to, all the assets that we generate revenue off of, not only increase in value, but actually have new users and new value tapping into them. I made a post about it. You look at any diversified account or investment, and if all of the diversification that you have is all down, that investment should be down. But what we have here with PTGC is we have the situation, which we are down, in the recent months, but everything that we've been diversified to in the last 2 years is down. But we still are increasing our value. We're still paying APY. We're still doing buy and burns, and we're still generating $4 million roughly a year in revenue just out of PTGC. I think it's probably another $2 million from UFO, so $6 million right now a year in revenue with no overhead, with no new users, with very little on-chain volume, volatility, etc. The only volatility we really do see is just ping-ponging back and forth around the same range. Like the volatility plus upside movements, I think is going to be a massive thing for PTGC when it happens. The last time it happened, PTGC's moved up like 50x in both of those movements. It's very telling, and there's tons of signs. No guarantees. Studying the past is no guarantee of the future, but we can make educated guesses. I just think where everyone is right now on PulseChain is they're just kind of drained mentally, but all the signs are there of what's about to happen with a successful PulseChain, with new users coming in, with new value coming in. It can't be more clear.
Paul Sachs made a comment about the gentleman that only had his USDC taken from his wallet. Paul says the common token scanners, and this makes perfect sense, that a scammer would use won't show PulseChain assets. So if your other assets were on PulseChain, that could be a reason. And also, I thought, perhaps he hadn't added the token addresses to his wallet to where he could see your assets, if that makes any sense.
That's what I was wondering, because he didn't touch anything else besides USDC, and I think that's the reason why, because he didn't know that I even owned any posts.
He didn't see it.
Yep.
Period. If he saw it, it was all gonna be drained, bro.
Exactly. So yeah, he must have had something with the USDC, and once he seen it, he just drained it. So wild.
Yeah, I just want to go back to $4 million in revenue with no overhead for a protocol on PulseChain right now. It's freaking phenomenal. You 4x that, you 5x that, and that's just very nominal. You talk about, the gentleman that came in earlier talking about protocols that are revenue generating protocols. Those are protocols with products, and you have to have customers, and you have to have overhead, and you have to have people running it. That's not this.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Is most businesses out there are a service or a product that you have to have employees do the service. You have to have a building to sell the product. You have to have marketing, etc. And obviously, we market the product as the token. But as far as the utility of PTGC and UFO goes, it is very unique as far as being a utility that doesn't actually require a user. It just requires the only guarantee that the markets provide. And it's funny when we say that is, I feel like we are seeing the bare minimum right now that the market could actually provide. We have barely any users. We have barely any volatility. We have barely any volume. We have very little price action on the entire chain. So if you had to think of like the worst possible scenario for our utility currently, I think we're living it. I think we're living it right now. And it can drastically change all those things I just listed in a very short amount of time. Volume could pick up, volatility could pick up, user base could pick up, and price could pick up. Obviously, price increasing is super good because then market makers need to move more money to fix pairs, which means we generate more revenue. But we're seeing what I believe is close to worst case scenario besides like a complete downfall of PulseChain, like just crashing black swan event, which we would generate revenue off of that anyways because all volatility pays us. We saw that with when the Interpool FUD came out, it was like a 40% crash on all assets on that day, and we're sitting at like, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in volume because of it, because of the service that we offer, the blockchain. But I do think those 40% moves are going to come again. I just think they're going to come to the upside. So instead of them going down and us getting volume in the down direction, we'll get volume in the upwards direction, which actually makes the product even better, because as price pushes up, market makers will need to move more and more value to keep fixing pairs. And a price chart can only go down 100%, right? This is one crazy thing. So when you start pushing downwards, there is only really so far down you can go. You can go down 100%. And as it's going down, the utility becomes less and less powerful. So you're generating less and less revenue as it keeps going further and further. But the utility of PTGC in the upwards direction is almost limitless, because it doesn't stop at 100% move. You can do another 100% move and another 100% move. You can do technically thousands of percent moves in the upwards direction. It doesn't have to ever end. If Richard really wants to make this thing go, and if our product actually stands out against the market, and as it's moving upwards, instead of your product shrinking, the product is actually growing. It's compounding on itself, because the liquidity is growing and growing and growing, making it to where market makers need to move more value, making it to where if prices are moving up, users are coming in. Well, what's users mean? Well, this means new people we can educate. Right now, we've seen very lack of new users for the last 2 years. Right now, last month, probably very little new users coming into PulseChain. But when we look at our wallet count, we've increased our wallet count by 350 users. With PTGC, I think is a lot more accurate than standard tokens as far as wallet count goes, because a lot of people can move value to other wallets free of charge in other assets, where if anyone moves value to a new wallet within the PTGC system, it pays the fee. So a lot of people aren't just moving wallets around for the fun of it. So I actually think the wallet increasing 350 wallets in PTGC, I would bet that it's at least 300 people of actually new wallets, not just shifting tokens over, because it costs money to move tokens over.
Pushing 10 o'clock.
Being a 2-year-old protocol at 100 mil market cap, 80 mil market cap, on a blockchain that's not having really any increase of new users, but we can still keep increasing the user base. There is people who want to be exposed to this product. They either just have too much emotion with it because they've seen it since it was lower prices and it's ran up without them, and they're just not willing to do it. But the truth is any new user coming to PulseChain, any new user coming from retail, when they land on PulseChain, they have no emotions to what PTGC used to be and what it is today. If the product hits the needs, the checkboxes that they're looking to check, the same checkboxes all of us had when we came to invest in crypto. Does it have security? Does it have track record? Does it have community? Does it have good branding? Does it have, good website? Does it have APY written within code? Is it hyper-deflationary? Is it scarce? Is it well-distributed? Check boxes. Is it a finished product? Does it generate revenue? The checkboxes all of us have that we sadly probably neglected over time because no product actually fulfills. My problem is I had a checkboxes. I wanted to invest money in crypto. I came into crypto. I came into DeFi. I was looking for products that was checking my boxes as far as something I wanted to invest hard-earned money into. I couldn't find it. This isn't just my problem. It's the same problem I've actually found pretty much everyone runs into. And I do believe when new people start coming into PulseChain, I do believe a large majority of them are going to expose themselves to PTGC because it checks a lot of those boxes. Even if you look at the existing community here on PulseChain, I would say there's probably only 10,000 active users. Well,
we have roughly, I think, how many wallet holders are we at now, Banana?
I want to say 13,000. I'll look it up.
So what's that mean is pretty much everyone on PulseChain has wanted to be exposed to PTGC for the most part. What's that tell me? Everyone knew that comes in is going to want to be exposed to Pulse, PTGC, and UFO as well.
You know, I like
if the machine's turning on.
I like to look at it in terms too of like revenue, comparing it to maybe legacy stuff. So in the last 30 days, $270,000 in revenue just for PTGC, and 119,000 for UFO, right? And that comes out to 389,000. Current price of ETH is what, 4,500, 4,400?
Yep.
Yeah, so the system in the last 30 days has earned almost 90 Ethereum in revenue in price terms. And guys, it's amazing to me because, brother, this is on a freaking completely dead blockchain right now. And the users are seeing it. I mean, 350 added users in the last 30 days. And here we are, like we just watched a gentleman. Let's talk about this for a second, just real quick. And then, whatever you're going to say, Prairie, but we just had a gentleman relinquish his position pretty much last week, right? I think he had like 700 million or something like this. And
he had a lot more than that. Yeah, he was half of a whale.
Yeah, so he was half of a whale. and just so much came up underneath of him and just really bought up the large majority of that. We had so many users and current users buying that dip. My brother-in-law immediately bought that dip. There's only so many of those guys, and I think that we lose the reality of that. There's only so many of those people, but the system just keeps buying them out. Well, what happens when that's gone? Like, what? This is the biggest thing for me. What happens to this system when the guys who are in for the long term, which I know a lot of them, like they're literally round tripping this thing. They don't care. Like, there's people in this system that are round tripping this freaking thing. And then there's people that are longer term, right? There's some people that'll do like what this gentleman did, but there's only so many wallets that can really even touch the chart. But the system doesn't care. The system just keeps generating $4 million a year in revenue at the bottom, right? We keep adding new users, which are buying up those dips. And I just keep saying to myself, like, knowing how this is going, my gosh, with just an uptick of PulseChain and an influx of users, at that point, it's like, what happens when the system runs out of those guys and they just don't have enough to sell anymore, right? There's always going to be people that are going to sell. That's not my point. My point is there's only so many that have a bag that can even impact the chart that are actually, in quotes, willing to sell because of how it's designed. Once you run out of those people, like we just washed one out the other day, what happens to the system, dude?
Yeah, the distribution of PTGC has gotten very, very strong in the last year. It's one thing I'm super thankful for, of like PulseChain kind of having this extended bear market thing going on.
is it's really tested the PTGC community in a way that most assets don't get to be tested in. Most assets don't get to high enough level points to where the community that is in it actually has to make the decision that, hey, I'm up, right? Like a big holder of PTGC, I'm up and I'm able to take profits into RH tickers at the bottom, but I'm not willing to do that at these prices, even though I'm up a lot of X's, because I believe this product is still undervalued, right? Most assets aren't up a lot of X's, so the community isn't even tested at all. They're literally flat or slightly down. There's no test there. You're testing them with time, right? You're saying, how long can you wait? But there's a unique test that's going on with the PTGC community is, hey, are you willing to remain in this system with your tokens being up or your tokens being down? We're testing every which angle you could ever imagine. And that's one thing that a lot of communities don't know is the PTGC community has been tested in every which way you could imagine. It's been tested in time. It's been tested by literally people launching copies on copies on copies of it, trying to replicate the system hundreds of times at this point. And the other thing is it's been tested with actually giving its users X's and seeing if they actually believe in this system long term. And some didn't, right? Some just literally left the first time it went up. Some left as it was going up. But I do believe a lot of the community that's here right now, obviously still some are shaking out their entire position randomly. But for the most part, we have a lot of just long-term believers who have been tested with X's to see how much they believe. That's one thing I think PulseChain and Hex is still going to have to go through a little bit, because there's a lot of people who own this range. And as it goes up 5x, 10x, I do believe a lot of these people are going to be tested in a way they've never been tested before. But the thing with the PTGC community is a lot of them have been tested in the way. A lot of them have seen X's. A lot of them actually believe in this product long term as a store of value source. Like you said, there's people within PTGC that know that there's going to be a high this cycle, know that there's going to be a retracement, and they're still not going to relinquish their entire position. They're willing to round trip this thing and help it be, / they believe it will be, a multi-cycle system. They believe that this could be the next Ethereum, the next Bitcoin. As far as it's a different product, it's not a blockchain, right? It's not Bitcoin, you know what I mean? But as far as being a store of value, they believe even the prices of the high of this next cycle is nothing compared to 3 cycles from now.
Well, and that's based on the fact that, we don't think PulseChain's going anywhere, as shitty as it is right now. We just don't. And the way that the system works, all it can do is generate revenue. And all it can do is take that revenue and do what it's always been doing, which means that whoever wants to sell can sell. You can sell the price down if you want. But there's only so many tokens, right? It really is the holder of last. It's that this system is one of those systems where if you have a large position, like if you're in the top 50 or the top whatever you want to call larger position, the reality is that the people that are in that position, they really know what, for the most part, they have a massive struggle right now because they really know this could be a massive generational wealth changer. Do I really want to let the potential of that go for, $100,000, $200,000? For the large majority of people, I would say that answer is no.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, I think if they're still here, you know what I mean? Usually
that's what
the
I
answer
mean.
is yes. Yeah. They've been tested.
They've already been tested,
Yeah. And it is cool to see like the PTGC community. Yes, there is people who've taken profits. Yes, this is going to happen in any crypto. This happens at Bitcoin. This happens at Ethereum. There's big players all the time that take profits. The PTGC community, especially some of those big players, are strong community members that are here for the long term of PTGC and are willing to support it, right? They're not forced to hold up the price, but they're doing it not only because I think they believe it's going to help them financially because the asset grows, then the APY grows, then they technically can live off of APY and never touch the asset, which then turns their wallet pretty much into like a debt address, because if those tokens never go back into LP, that makes the asset more scarce. All those features take place. But it's also helping support the price, creating the scenario where we have an amazing looking chart that's easy to onboard to. Currently sitting at a discount, and I think that discounts opportunity, but there's a lot of people still supporting it and keeping it at these higher levels, and probably going to keep supporting it even as it gets to like ridiculous numbers that a lot of people would think like, whoa, why are you even just sitting on that? Well, it's because these people actually have conviction. They actually believe in the product. We've been on this journey together for almost 2 years now. There isn't a lot of times in life where you have like a grassroots protocol that's ran and built by community that's technically redefining like store of value investment ideas at possibly a scale of top 25, top 50 of all cryptocurrencies, where cryptocurrencies is taking over finance. It's like a form of a revolution that probably doesn't come up too often. I don't think it comes up ever, really. Like, we're all very lucky to be here during this time, and it's just like this strange event of code on a decentralized blockchain where there is some risk in the blockchain that we're currently on because we don't fully know the path and what the plan is. I do think that plan is going to start to become very clear here soon, and I feel like the PTGC community could be paving the way for like a situation that hasn't really been done before. Mathematically, like the code base of just being fully decentralized and automated and paying the APY and deflation and just being scarcer and scarcer every single day. Like, I don't think an opportunity like this you could see the full potential with a product like this built on another blockchain. Like, that's the super cool part, because with it being built on this undervalued blockchain, which obviously comes with risk, it can actually push this product, a grassroots project by a small community, up into the top 50, top 100, top 25, wherever it lands, of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, the thing that's pretty much taking over finance right now, very, very quickly. This disrupts the space, especially when that product that gets shoved up into the top 50 has no overhead and is generating more revenue than some of the biggest cryptocurrency companies that exist today.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting. Like, if anything, it's just kind of fun to be a part of.
So right now, Zen, in the last 24 hours, just from the mechanic, essentially 3 million PTGC has been burned, $850 worth. At the peak, at the all-time high of PTGC, that position was worth $3,100. So even down here, you're burning what used to be worth $3,100 worth of position every day. It's almost 3 million a day of the token. It's very interesting because the Dow has just been stacking the living daylights out of PulseChain. You know my thoughts on that. But, so we're nearing 10 billion PLS in the Treasury.
you know.
Yeah, 10 billion PLS at SAC price is $1 million.
Oof.
It's
Exactly, man. It's what does $1 million do in look at the PTGC?
Not like a crazy amount, but what it equals is it equals the situation where you are pushing value into a chart that is obviously attracting users in a situation that if Pulse at SAC price, that means new users have came into PulseChain, new value has came into PulseChain. Every time new value has came into PulseChain, a portion of that value has made its way to PTGC previously. So it creates a compounding effect that really starts to build off of itself. It creates a scenario where we can expose people to what the PTGC machine is in real time, especially as they come into PulseChain. So as these new users do start to come into PulseChain, we want them to see firsthand how powerful this is. And the best way to show people how powerful it is by showing them, right? Not telling them, not saying, hey, you know, at times this happens. Well, if we're sitting on $1 million in the DAO and new users are flowing in and we're able to do massive LP ads or massive buy and burns or buying PTGC, saving it for LP ads later with stable coins in real time as they're coming in, and they can literally see the price appreciation on the chart, along with all the other reasons our price appreciates, like PLS driving us up, our other assets that we're connected to driving us up. Not to mention during this entire time period, we're just generating more PLS into the DAO. That's what's different about this protocol compared to a lot of other things that have reserves, is a lot of other reserves are capped. They're not generating anymore. They're just done, and they have to protect all that value for the rest of it or eternity, to where as we even use ours, it's like refilling behind us at the same time, especially if times get really good.
Yeah, you're pushing the price up a lot with just $1 million, man. It's like 42%, and you're taking like a 45% slippage on it. So you'd have to push the price up against yourself a lot. Price has to go up a lot,
man. It's a quiet Saturday on PTDC Spaces.
Mando, I put the Raul Paul video link into the messages there. We got it.
Perfect. Thank you, man.
Just one more thing about the broader market. There's some commentators saying the reason why the general crypto market and markets in general feel a bit flat or almost quicksandy is because there's a looming Japanese bond market crisis. And the 10-year bond yields have gone up a lot in the last week, and I think it could be a problem on the horizon. So people are thinking that could precipitate a drop in the markets, and then consequent to that, more liquidity coming in, money printing.
And when does Japan not have a problem?
Exactly. But if you look at the 10-year, it is quite concerning. Stark.
What's the rate?
It's 1.6% at the moment, but it has gone up like crazy a lot in the last couple of weeks. And they have an absolutely insane debt GDP ratio. So traders are thinking they're sitting on their hands and waiting for crisis to play out. Markets drop 10, 20%, whatever, and then the quantitative easing, it was kind of a non-event, the rate drop the past week. So I think it could be like, next time 50 base points or even more. And then they said the markets will go parabolic.
Yeah, that 0.25 was that was kidding. I thought that was going to be anyway. These guys, they're playing with us.
Yeah, but like if this Japanese thing leads to something, then they'll have to respond big, like a kind of a COVID crash type of scenario. Maybe one.
Yeah, I doubt that. I doubt a Japanese issue would cause that severe of a crash. But you know what? There's a system that makes money on volatility on PulseChain, so that's good.
Yep. But it does kind of feel like that generally that people are just kind of like uninterested and then waiting for something.
Yeah, BNB is on a tear right now, man. The BNB's up like 1,020. It was under 1,000 last night around 11. Just went to 1,021.
Wow. And didn't they kind of front run the market the last time they went up a lot? They were up first. BNB.
Yeah. Yep.
So that could be a good.
BNB is on a tear. It's on a tear.
So BNB is an interesting one because it's one I kind of studied a lot in the design of PTGC. Also, I think that's also where Richard took a lot of design for PulseX as well. So the idea of BNB is they take some of the value that they generate via the exchange, and they actually at strategic times will push that revenue into the BNB token. And if you look at the BNB chart, it's like absolutely amazing.
It's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good example of probably one of the closest projects to PTGC because they're generating revenue through trading, right? Because that's where their centralized exchanges make money, is humans trading and arbitrage bots trading because they have a bunch of assets in their liquidity pools and they get to trade them against DEXs and other centralized exchanges, but they get to make the revenue off of that. And then they're taking that revenue and a portion of it is going towards the BNB token. Keep in mind, they have tons of overhead. So we don't have any overhead. Obviously, they're generating probably crazy amounts of money. But I think the BNB chart is a great example of probably some of the closest long-term charts that we can compare PTGC to. PulseX is kind of a shorter-term chart, which obviously I don't think is a great indication because of the massive sacrifice and stuff like that. So we have to let the PulseX chart kind of play out. But if you're looking for a chart that has a multi-cycle situation going on that you kind of want to compare to what this value generation system could kind of do, is I honestly think BNB is a very unique one. And that doesn't take into consideration an alt token built on a blockchain that can very much do a crazy amount of X's itself, right? BNB is the blockchain. So BNB is the pulse, where it's not an asset built on top of the blockchain where you get to work off of reflexivity. This is another thing that we have in our favor. This is why I think the amount of X's PTGC and UFO can do is absolutely insane, because we're working off of reflexivity. It's not only just our asset versus the dollar or our asset versus, I guess, Bitcoin and ETH, stuff like that. So I guess BNB is working off reflexivity too. It's just a lot of these assets, what they're reflexive to has already done thousands of X's or don't move up at all, like stable coins. It's just so unique that we're in a situation where what we're reflexive to is literally down from even its sacrifice price and not done any X's yet. It's just, I kind of always say, like, on PulseChain, you don't necessarily need to get into crazy risky assets to get massive reward. because the blockchain itself is the risk. You can actually find the most secure, trusted projects on the chain to take your value into, because we're already exposed to enough risk just being here. You don't really need to go a few more steps down the line. Yeah, you can. It's fun to gamble, I guess, and stuff for some people, but it's almost a gamble just being on this chain. You can find the safest products and still be exposed to crazy amounts of reward, life-changing amounts of reward.
Yeah, those are obviously, that's for people who don't care about making money now and don't need to make money now to pay their bills.
Yep.
Could you say that again? I didn't understand that.
Well, I think that what you were saying was that you don't really need to go speculate on all the other things on the chain. Like, for example, holding the cores is like speculation enough, right?
Yeah.
But the issue with that is that, you know, people like to make money now too. You know, that's what I'm saying is, you know, it's fine for set it and forget it long-term 5-10 year outlook. It's not fine for if I've got to pay my mortgage this month.
Yeah, 100%. That doesn't work for people who live off of their crypto and live off of trading. I was more kind of speaking as far as the lines of people who still have their jobs, pay all their bills with their jobs, and are more bringing revenue into crypto as long-term investment plays. Also, I think it's very important to understand where we are in the cycle compared to where we were in the cycle 2 years ago, to where there's a point where the tide is going to rise here on PulseChain. It's going to rise very, very quickly. Every single ship is sitting on the seafloor right now. The ones that float and the ones sunk into the bottom of the ocean with 1,000 holes in it. It's hard to tell which ones are actually battle-tested ships and which ones are just sunken ships at the bottom of the ocean when the tide is so low to where everything's sitting at the same level. But when tide comes in, it's going to expose the ships that are battle-tested and the ones that have sunk into the bottom of the ocean very, very quickly. And people are going to start exiting the ships that are sinking very quickly and try to get on whatever lifeboat is, or just try to hop right onto the floating ships as well. For me, it makes the most sense to do that before everyone else. If there's signs starting to show up that tides are about to rise, I think it's just good. Look at your portfolio and say, hey, what are the things that are battle tested that I feel confident are going to rise with the tides? Which things am I just sitting in because I just want to get my value back, but they might be dead already, and it's just hasn't been exposed completely yet. But right, like I get what you're saying is people speculating so far on PulseChain are the only people that have made any money. I 100% get what you're saying there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we want an active chain. You know, that's my thing. Is, you know, you want users to be active. You also want just investors. You want long-term investors too. You know, you want as many of those. Hey, I'm putting in 20 grand and I don't need it. I'm going to come back and revisit it in 5 years, kind of a thing, whatever, right? That you need all these different types of things going on. But at the end of the day, we need energy on the chain. It's like I was saying in the live stream last week. We need energy. And it's like I can't help but just in the back of my mind, I just keep thinking, you know, there's a major marketing push happening right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the strategy is on the chessboard, but it is happening. And somebody is doing that. And it does cost a lot of money to do that. Right? I don't think that things just happen for a reason, for no reason. There has to be a reason for everything. But in the interim, it's amazing to me that this protocol is still almost at $100 million market cap, generating $4 million or $4 million a year in revenue on a 90-day KPI at this point, with great distribution, added 350 new users over the last 300 days or 30 days. Everything, look, in terms of what I'm looking at with the system at this point, I don't see how in this environment the Gray's currency could be doing better on PulseChain with the current environment, right? Outside of all of us actually putting our own marketing campaign together and doing our own mailer out there, postcard marketing or something, and just sending it all out to everybody about the Gray's currency or something, all of us committing to, bringing one new user into PTGC from within our peer group this week, this month, whatever. So, a campaign like that, which actually, that should always be happening, frankly, if you believe in the product. Somebody else should hear about it. But without doing that, the design of the system is proving itself out really, really tremendously at this point. It has the ability to curtail entropy. And that is the biggest thing that I love about this system. It has the ability to fight against heat death, energy death in the system, because it's constantly generating more energy. And when you don't have a system that can do that, you're in a dead system.
We've been going for 2 hours and 2.5 hours now. I'm just kind of going to do last call if anyone has anything to add before we shut this thing down.
Last call on YouTube also.
You got anything, Prairie?
I just did a last call on YouTube for questions. We'll see if anybody has any. The chat was pretty chatty today. Oh, David asked, he says, does this mean, and this was at 10:07, does this mean that there will be no buy and burns at the moment? So we were talking about the Dow funds.
Yeah, nobody can speak to that.
Understandably, because the market's always changing.
I think Zen's the best person to ultimately answer that question, but I would.
What was the question? When does Dow funds going to get injected?
The question was, does this mean, we were talking about the Dow funds, and he says, does this mean that there will be no buy and burns at the moment?
We haven't been doing buy and burns throughout the last, I'd say, few weeks. We've just been accumulating storing it. Usually when the market is trending downwards, we usually don't fight that trend. This is what we did last time. The market trended downward, and then we wait patiently for the market to kind of shift back in favor, and then we start using those funds again. What we found is trying to push against the current when the current is shifted against us is usually wasted value, and it makes more sense to kind of reserve the funds, reserve our energy, right? Just like in a situation of real life, if you're in a current or anything like that, sometimes it's better to just kind of sit and wait, reserve your energy, and wait for the market to come to you, and then we can utilize those funds at a strategic point in time. The other example I like to give is kind of like if you need to start a fire, right, and it's currently raining outside, do you sit there and use all your energy and just try to start that fire in the rain, kindling wet, with your flint soaking wet, with your hands soaking wet and cold? Or do you just hunker down for a little bit in a spot that has some shelter, wait for the next day, wait for the sun to come out, wait for the sun to dry the kindling, and those
try to start your fire again, you usually have better success when the environment that you are in is in your favor. And the best environment for us is PLS increasing in price, because PLS increasing in price means new value is flowing in. And if new value is flowing, we're working off of reflexivity, and there's new users to educate and showcase the PTGC machine too.
Yeah, I think too, for me personally, I'll tell you, for me personally, it's times like this that allow me personally to say, okay, this represents the actual market, right? Because the protocol is the protocol, and this would be the same for any token. When you have the environment, what it is on PulseChain right now, you have the cores just doing what they're doing. You have the price of these assets doing what they're doing. And you have the ability to actually inject capital, but you're not, right? Well, to me, that's indicative of what you're looking at. Is you're looking at the real market price. You're looking at what current holders are willing to do, willing to buy, willing to sell. And without any of the Treasury funds or anything that, a lot of people, they'll say, well, why aren't you buying up the chart? Why aren't you? Well, in my opinion, if you're down here at these levels, which are great levels on PulseChain, but if you're down here at these levels, don't you think it's better to see what the actual market is than to inject a bunch of Pulse just to give exit liquidity to people who want to sell? At the same time, the Pulse is undervalued, right? At the same time, you're just stacking more Pulse. And it's like you said, there's almost 10 billion PulseChain in the Treasury right now. And frankly, once you get there, you could shift some of those funds to stacking Ethereum. You could shift some of those funds to actually stacking Bitcoin. So you could actually have the grays stacking, sitting on 10 billion PulseChain, 200 Ethereum, a bunch of Bitcoin. And hey, what do you think that does to people? It's like, wow, okay, you can sell if you want, but look at what the protocol owns. That is part of the actual reality of the system, is that as an investor, you could say, okay, this is the price. It just added 351 new users in the last 30 days. This is where PulseChain is, taking into account, what happens to liquidity pools with reflexivity. This is what the actual protocol owns, and just liquid assets, right? That's a part of the decision-making process for new users. Say, wow, they're sitting on 10 billion Pulse, they're sitting on this much ETH, they're sitting on this much of whatever, right? And the revenue's not stopping. The revenue, over the last 90 days, almost $1 million of revenue has been generated. These are all key performance indicators that right now, to me, I'm looking at this, I'm saying the second that the Dow stops buying and burning, and it's over the last few weeks, that's when you start having people asking this question, well, when's that going to happen? When's that going to happen? But the fact is, I like these moments where the Dow just says, if you want to sell. We'll buy it on the cheap. Right? Because it allows us to see where the current user base is, where the current holder base is that holds the tokens. It allows us to see at what levels new investors are coming in at, right? And it also is indicative of whenever there's a reversal from levels like this and it starts to go back up, you see this major influx because they think that might be the last time. Right. So these are great opportunities to collect a lot of information on the free market, on the actual market itself, when you don't have any capital injection. It just tells you it's a good health check, in my opinion.
Cool, guys. Do you have anything else, Banana?
Nope. I don't.
Just one thing, Mando, the link is in the messages of the space, not Telegram.
In the message of the oh, got you. Perfect, man.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Also, Mando, I messaged you earlier this morning on Telegram.
I will check it when we get off.
Okay, thanks, man.
Hey guys, thank you so much, everybody who came in and just sat in here and retweeted the space. People, you guys that just keep showing up, we appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. So you guys have a good weekend.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, guys. Actually, I was just thinking about this. So next Saturday and Monday, I'm not going to be able to do these spaces. So either Banana, you could handle them, or we could change the times. I'm open to you. I have Friday open next week, and I think I could do something Wednesday the following week to make up the spaces if you want me to host, but I can't make both the Saturday and the Monday.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk about
it. Not this Monday coming up.
Right.
This Monday, but the following week is where I have some issues. So if we'll talk privately, Banana, what kind of works with everyone, but I just wanted to put that out publicly for everyone listening that some things might shift around. So be on the lookout for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine, Zed. I think it's just okay. I think it's just let's just work around your schedule. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
All right, man. Everybody have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thanks so much. Okay. Well, guys, that's a wrap. Another space call in the books. If you're new, jump into my presentation tomorrow. It'll be at 1 p.m. Pacific. 1 p.m. Pacific. All right, guys. Go have a Saturday. See ya.